Assalamu alaikum and hello and welcome to you all in the new class of our course, that is the International Criminal Law. And now this is the our eighth week, and that is the lecture number 8. And in this lecture, students, I'm going to give you a demonstration on the remaining part of the our previous lecture, that is the International Criminal Code. And I'm giving you this very comprehensive lecture on this topic, because the International Criminal Code is one of the very much important topic in our lecture. So ICC, we have discussed in previous lectures the functions, formation of the ICC, and the statute which apply and govern this code is the Rome Statute 2002, and as per the Article 1 of this statute, we also call the code. Students, I'm in this lecture giving you the demonstration on the brief summary on the Rome Statute, because this statute contained 128 articles and preamble, so it need a detailed lecture, and it is not possible because already we have spent one complete lecture on this topic. So I'm giving you a brief summary of each part of this statute. So students, here's the slide of today's. Yes, students, uh, Rome Statute of the International Criminal Code. Here are the there are 13 part of this statute, and a preamble, and uh, there each part for part one, which is the establishment of the court; part two regarding the jurisdiction, admissibility, and applicable of law; and part three is the general principle of the criminal law; and part 4 is the composition and administration of the court; and part 5 is the investigation and the prosecution of the ICC; and thereafter part 7 is very much important, because in this part there are the trial and the penalties in part 7, and appeal and revision in the part 8 second round of the proceedings, that is the appeal and revision; and part 9 is the international cooperation and judicial assistance; and part 10 is the enforcement; and part 11 is the assembly of the state parties, and this part is one of the uh, smallest part of this statute. And part 12 is the financing, who finance the ICC; and part 13, which is the last part, which is the final clauses of this statute. So students, now I'm giving you very very detailed lecture on the each part. I'm going to introduce each part of this statute. This statute start with the preamble, and the states party to this statute have agreed on the following articles, which contain the separated in the each part. Is the I said this lecture is the summary of the main features of the Rome Statute on the International Criminal Code. So students, part one, in which there are four articles. Article number 1 to 4 deals with the establishment of the court, and it also defines the court's relationship with the United Nations as well as with the host country. The court will also have international legal personality. The seat of the court is in The Hague, in the Netherlands, but it may sit in other countries. So, regarding the seat of the court and establishment of the enforcement of the this code, which defined in the Article 1 to 2, 4. Thereafter, second part in that part, there are start from Article number 5 to Article number 21, which deals with the jurisdiction, admissibility, and the applicable law. This part sets out the crimes which fall within the jurisdiction of the ICC, namely the crime of the genocide, crime against humanity, war crimes, and crime of the aggression. It also important to note that while war crimes apply to both international and internal armed conflicts, the definition of crimes against humanity under the statute now includes the crime of the upper, upper head. This means that states which have not ratified the Upper Head Convention will, on ratification, be bound to prosecute and punish such crimes. And thereafter is first the next part, which contains the Article number 22, Article number 53, and of the statute contains general procedural principle of the criminal law. These include nullum criminals sine lege. A person is not criminally responsible unless the conduct is questioned constitute a crime at the time of commission of thereof. And nulla puna sine lege, a person may only be punished as provided for in statute. Non retroactivity rationa personae, no person is criminally responsible for conduct prior to the operation of this statute. And principles governing individuals' criminal responsibility of the commanders and other superiors, requisite mental element as well as grounds for the excluding criminal responsibility, that is the mistake of fact and mistake of law. So these principles has been discussed and has been provided in the article number 22 and 2 article number 33. Thereafter, students, the part 4 of that statute, which starts from Article 34 to Article 52, which deals with the composition and administration of the ICC. The ICC will consist of the Presidency and Appeal Division at trial. ICC will have 18 judges who will be chosen from the participating states. The Presidency consists of the President of the ICC, and the first and second Vice President will be chosen by the judges, and this division will be responsible for the proper administration of the ICC and other functions conferred on it by the statute, with the exceptions of the office of the prosecutor. The appeals division will consist of the president and four other judges, the trial division of not less than six judges, and the pretrial division of not less than six judges. The office of the prosecutor will act independently of the ICC and will be responsible for receiving referrals and any substantiated information on crimes within the jurisdiction of the ICC, for examining them and for conducting investigation and prosecution before the ICC. Thereafter, next part of this statute, part number 5, which contains the Article 53 to Article 61, in which the statute deals with the investigations and the prosecutions. It sets out, among others, the duties and power of the prosecutor. That is, the prosecutor must decide on the information made available whether the information provides a reasonable basis to believe that a crime has been committed falling within the jurisdiction of the court, that the case is admissible in terms of the Article 17, and that an investigation would serve the interest of the justice, and the make a recommendation to the pretrial chamber. The prosecutor then initiate an investigation for example, collecting and examining evidence, requiring states to the assist, during which the rights of the persons must be respected. This part also sets out the functions and powers of the pretrial chamber, that is, issuing orders or warrants of the arrest that may be required, and authorizing the prosecutor to take specific investigative steps. Next part is the sixth, which starts from the Article 62 to Article 76, which deals with the actual trial of the accused. It sets out the principle governing proceedings before the trial chamber. That is, the trial must take place in the presence of the accused person. The trial must be fair, quick, and be held in public. The trial chamber has the power to rule on the admissibility of the evidence, and this part also regulates the proceedings where guilt is admitted. It deals with the rights of the accused person, including the presumption of the innocence, rights relating to the interpreters and legal representation, and the right and remains silent. It makes provision for the protection of witnesses and victims, including in camera proceedings where necessary, and for the manner in which evidence is to be given. Next part is seven students, which contain the Article 77 to 80, which deals with the penalties that may be imposed by the court, namely imprisonment not exceeding 30 years or even the term of life imprisonment, which this is justified by the extreme gravity of the crime. In addition, the court may impose a fine or order the forfeiture of the proceeds, property, and assets derived from the crime in question. In terms of Article 79, a trust fund is to be established by the decision of the Assembly of the state parties for the benefit of the victims of crimes and their families. The court may order money and other property collected through fines or forfeiture to be transferred to trust fund. Students Part 8, which starts from Article 81 to Article 85, provides for grounds of the special appeal and revision. The prosecutor or the accused person may appeal on the grounds of the procedural error or error of fact or error of law. An appeal may also relate to the sentence imposed by the court. An appeal may also lie against the decision of the court, and that is the decision relating to the jurisdiction of the admissibility of the case before the court or further detention or release of an accused person. Appeals are heard by the appeals chamber, which has all the powers of the trial chamber. Part 9, which starts from the Article 86 to Article 102, deals with the international cooperation and judicial assistance. State parties are under an obligation to cooperate fully with the court on request through an appropriate channel, as may be as designated by each state party. Apart from arrest and the surrender of the persons to the court, states parties are required to cooperate with the court regarding the matters such as questioning of any person being investigated or prosecuted, service of the documents on site investigation, and execution of the searches and seizure. Part 10 students, which contain the Article 103 to Article 111 of the statute, deals with the enforcement. Article 103, for instance, provides that a sentence of the imprisonment must be served in a state designated by the court from a list of states that have indicated their willingness to accept sentenced persons. The enforcement of a prison sentence is subject to the supervision of the court and must be consistent with the international treaty standards governing the treatment of the prisoners. This part also requires state parties to give effect to fines or forfeiture ordered by the court in accordance with their domestic law. Students, in this part is the 11 article. There is only one article in this part, Article 112, for the state to establish an assembly of the states parties whose power and duties include providing management oversight to presidency, prosecutor, and registrar regarding the administration of the court, consideration of the budget, and the enforcement of the measures to ensure cooperation with the court. And next part 12, which contains the article number 130 to article number 118, deals with the financing of the court, expenses of the court, and assembly of the state. Parties will be paid from the funds of the court, which will come from the assess contribution made by state parties, funds provided by the United Nations, and additional funds, voluntary contributions from the governments, international organizations, individuals, corporations, and other entities. So this is the source of the fund which run the ICC, the court. The last part, that is the 13, which contains the article number 119 to article 128, which contain the final clauses of the statute. That is, it addresses procedures for settlement of disputes, amendments, and withdrawal from the statute. It also provides for the matters regarding signature, ratification, acceptance, and approval or accession. Although the statute was opened for signature in Rome immediately after its adoption, it will, after 17th October 1988, remain open for signature in New York at the United Nations headquarters until 31st December 2000. The statute only comes into force after 60 instruments of ratification have been received. No reservation may be made to the statute by any state party. So, students, this is this very summary and main feature of the Rome Statute on the International Criminal Court. I hope this lecture make you understand how the court will function and what procedure, what statute, what legislation required to be uh, read in order to understand the ICC. So these articles will give you detail after the studying detail of these articles that definitely will give you further knowledge regarding the ICC. So this was the last discussion on the this topic. I hope this discussion very helpful and give you a very comprehensive guidance regarding the ICC. Thank you very much, students. See you in a next chapter and the next topic, that is the ICC. Thank you, students.